through the airwaves and all around the world. You're listening to Mr. Scott's podcast.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Mr. Scott from Mr. Scott's podcast, and today we got a good one for you. Today we have a pre-recorded testimony from Beth Redman, the wife of the popular worship singer Matt Redman. She recorded her testimony and she sent it to me when I was doing a ministry called Christian Friends. So I hope you guys enjoy this and get a blessing out of it. Let's go to the recording.
Hi Christian friends, it's Beth Redman here. Thank you so much for inviting me to come be a part of the chat room. I'm not actually live with you because in real time right now I'm probably chasing one of my 5 children, trying to get them in bed. Weekends are always crazy. So thank you for letting me pre-record this and be a part of what you're doing. So I just wanted to quickly share with you my testimony and tell you a little bit about really how, obviously we all know already how amazing God is, but it's always good and sharpening to hear what he's been doing in all of our lives. So thank you for letting me tell you my story. I was brought up in an area of in the south of England called Crawley. And I was brought up in on a council estate in quite a rough area. And I think when you put a lot of maybe marginalised, struggling people together in one area, often there can be high crime and a lot of struggle. And it wasn't always the easiest place to live. But one of the most fantastic benefits of being able to have free housing and be in this community was that right in the middle of where I lived was a community centre, and on a Sunday it was it was shared by lots of different sort of faith groups. So first of all, in the morning the Roman Catholic Church would come in and have a service, and then after that the Church of England would come in and have a service, and then after that the Free Church, the Pentecostals, would come in and have a service, and then bizarrely enough after that the bar would open and people would come in and there would be darts, and so it would kind of be a pub. So off I went every Sunday. I was brought up going to this community hall, and I was there. I learned about Jesus, and honestly I can say that was like the river in my life through what was a very difficult childhood. The community centre and the church and the leaders there were like water for my soul, and from a very, very early age I absolutely loved the worship. I loved the songs. I loved having this family, because I wasn't born into a traditional family with kind of grandparents and cousins and all the rest of it. Our family was very dysfunctional and small. So it was just my mum and dad and my brother and I. And so I loved being able to have this extended family with lots of kind of bubbly people who really loved Jesus. And the best thing really was my youth leaders. And they were so kind and taught me about Jesus from a very, very early age. And we had this youth group from the age of 8. I would go along after school on a Friday and then on a Sunday, and it was fun. And I really took hold of what they were telling me, and I believed it in my heart, and sort of followed God from there onwards in terms of praying and worshipping. But things were not easy at home, and my parents had a very volatile relationship. They were not happy people. They didn't have happy childhoods. And I think if you don't have a healthy soul, actually you don't have a healthy life. And so, you know, it can be quite a hard place to grow up. And there was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of depression. There was a lot of poverty, not having enough. And there was a lot of violence and unhappiness in my home. And so that causes like an inner conflict. Yes, I know Jesus is alive. Yes, I know he's true. I believe in him. I love him. He loves me. But every day you're waking up in an unhappy environment and an unstable environment. And obviously that affects you, especially when you're a child. So I guess I had this inner conflict going on. I'm loved, but what the heck is going on in my house? And really there was a lot of rules as well. I guess because of some of their dysfunction, we weren't really allowed to experience much freedom, and things were on fairly harsh terms. And so I think inside of me, if you're always told, no, 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 you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't, something inside of you naturally wants to. I mean, you've only got to look at Adam and Eve. They were lovingly told, no, no, you can have all of this, but not that. And they still strayed. So when you're harshly told, no, 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 something within you just wants to explode and do it anyway. So my parents split up when I was 17. It was a very happy day for me because it meant I could breathe. And, you know, the violence, the depression, the unhappiness was going to stop. But suddenly I went from having no freedom to having all the freedom in the world that I wanted. And so I obviously went to the extremes. And I was very hurting. I was very, very much hurting inside and felt very damaged. And so kind of went off the rails and did that for about a year. It really doesn't work. You think, oh, finally I'm free, but actually it's just another prison. And so I would go to church on Sunday and I'd feel so bad because, you know, I'd smell of smoke or, you know, I would be conflicted. So after a year, I went on this Christian ski holiday, really to try and get my ex-boyfriend back, or to maybe try and find another boyfriend to wind him up. And on that ski trip, I met a whole load of people my age who were absolutely madly in love with Jesus. And it wasn't just that, but from the inside out, I guess the only way I can put it is that they were totally free. And when you know you're loved and you're totally free, of course you just want to tell other people. You don't wake up thinking, oh, what about me? What about me? You think, I need to tell the world about this amazing Jesus. And so I met these smiley, joyful, fully alive Christians, and it started to make me think. That's the kind of Christianity I want. And then as part of the ski trip, there were these speakers, and a chap called Steve Brading got up to speak. And, you know, bearing in mind, I've been brought up listening to preachers. I know the Bible. I know how God feels about me. But there was something about this preach and this environment. And he started to tell us all about God. And as I was listening to his talk and kind of looking out the window at these massive Alps, and then listening to the talk and looking at this massive mountain, and then thinking about these friends around me who really, really were free in God, I thought, oh my goodness, who would want to go out this 5%? Or who would want to live the rest of their life in conflict? You know, Jesus, have my all. And it kind of gave me permission to break away from my parents, and because sometimes we honour, but we need to have boundaries, and actually to really fully be loved by God and to enter a new path. And so I dedicated my life to God. I would say it was a dedication rather than becoming a Christian, because I was already schooled in Christianity, but I dedicated my life to God and just said, you know, I want you, all of you, to have all of me, and I want to live my life for you. And I came back from that ski holiday, age 18, and literally laid on the floor in my bedroom, was like, that is it, whatever you want, Jesus. And I was reading my Bible sometimes 3 hours a day. I would be praying, singing. I mean, it was just like the most, I look back on it now as just the most incredible time of my life. I don't think I've ever been as happy as in that moment of just being rekindled and reading the Bible. You know, to be single again and have 3 hours a day to read my Bible. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. And so, of course, when you dedicate your life to God and you pray and you don't tell him how it needs to be, you just say whatever you want. I wasn't pushing any doors. I got a phone call. Hey Beth, I heard you do some singing at your church. I mean, badly. But yeah, I do some singing at my church. And they said, you know, we do music and we do some schools work. Do you want to come and do it? And, you know, totally God. So I came along and had no confidence, but just a bit of passion. And so I started singing with this band called Speakeasy. And then from there, we went to Spring Harvest. Never been to Spring Harvest. It's this amazing Christian camp at Easter. And I met all these different people and saw all these different opportunities for ministry and thought, oh my gosh, I could actually do this full time. And I went from there and joined YFC, which is Youth for Christ, went on a year project doing schools work and singing and evangelism. And then from there, when that was finished, I auditioned for the Worldwide Message Tribe in Manchester, which is kind of like this urban rap band doing phenomenal work in the schools in Manchester. And so, yeah, I went from this hurting, broken, lonely person, age 18, to dedicating my life to God, to being full-time in Christian ministry, doing evangelism in schools, telling people about Jesus, and was being transformed in the process. So how amazing is that? So basically, that's my story. From there, being in Manchester, I actually I met Matt. I met Matt when I was 19. And then from meeting Matt, obviously a few years later, I came down to a Soul Survivor, where he was, and Matt Redman, my husband, he's a worship leader and a singer. And so from there, we got married, and obviously the rest is history. But all to say, God takes hurting lives and he mends them, and he places the lonely in families, and how good is he? So thank you so much, Christian friends, and all the best with the chat room, and much love to you all tonight, wherever you are. God bless.